tell you a little story about Golda. You know, before she went to the United States to visit with President Ford, she was in Moscow. Shh, this is a secret. Don't tell anybody, okay? She went to Moscow to better relations between Russia and the Kremlin and Israel. Russia and the Kremlin, that's also important, yes. But nobody knows that she was in Russia because she went incognito. She was disguised. So nobody would recognize her. She was disguised as Henry Kissinger. And she went to visit Brezhnev. You know Brezhnev? Of course, the famous Shmegege of Russia. Shmegege, that's the Russian word for leader. In Russian, they call a leader Shmegege, comrade Shmegege. And Golda visited with Brezhnev, and he was so happy to see her. Oh, was he happy to see her. He was so happy to see her that he took her to his private dacha in Siberia. And he invited her into his boudoir, and he closed the door, and he said to her, Goldale, Goldale, I'm crazy for you, Golda. You come all the way to see me in Moscow. Oh, Golda, because you come to see me, tell me what I can do for you. Anything I do for you, Golda. And Golda, you know, is very, very quick, very intelligent, and she said right away, well, Comrade Brezhnev, there is something you can do for me. And he said, what? Anything I do for you. And she said, please, why don't you open the gates of Russia for one day? Huh? So whoever will stay, will stay. Whoever will leave, will leave. Huh? Well, Brezhnev thought for a minute, then he smiled a big smile, and he winked at her, and he said, Goldale, you want to remain alone with me, huh? I told you before about Golda and Brezhnev, and I have to give equal time now to the other side and tell you about Golda and Kissinger. You know Kissinger, of course. Henry Kissinger, 3 years ago, when he visited Golda when she was prime minister with his wife, Nancy. Hello, Nancy. At that time, Moshe was still the defense minister. You remember Moshe, yes? The Israeli Sammy Davis Jr.? We kid him a lot, Moshe. You know that when Sammy Davis was in Israel 5 years ago, he met Moshe Dayan and they had an eye-to-eye discussion. And 3 years ago, Moshe Dayan and Golda herself took Kissinger to visit the city of Jerusalem. And they wound up at the most important spot today in Jerusalem, the Wailing Wall, the Western Wall. And there they were in front of the wall, and Kissinger looked at Golda, and he said, Golda, tell me please, what is so important about this wall? And Golda couldn't believe it. She said, what? Mr. Secretary, I'm surprised at you. Why, this is the most important place in Israel today. Because from this very spot where we're standing, we pray to God. And God listens to every prayer. Whatever we pray for, He gives us. From this very spot where you're standing. When Mr. Kissinger heard this, he started to pray immediately. And he said, dear God, if you're listening to me now, I want to make it perfectly clear. That was 3 years ago. See how quick you forget, huh? Please, make these Israelis more reasonable and let them give back the territories. When Moshe Dayan heard this, he ran over to Golda in panic. And he said, Golda, did you hear what he's praying for? And Golda said, leave him alone, he's talking to the wall. Speaking of Jerusalem, I'd like to sing you a song about Jerusalem that is always timely. We just celebrated the 9th anniversary of the reunification of the city of Jerusalem. And this is a song that was written just before the Six-Day War by Nomi Shemer. One of the most beautiful songs ever written about one of the most beautiful cities in the world, Jerusalem, ירושלים. אוויר הרים צלול כיין וריח אורנים נישא ברוח הארבעים עם כל פעמונים ובתרדמת אילן ואבן שבויה בחלומה העיר אשר בדד יושבת ובליבה חומה ירושלים של זהב ושל נחושת ושל אור הלא לכל שירייך אני כינור ירושלים של זהב ושל נחושת ושל אור הלא לכל שירייך אני כינור. חזרנו אל בורות המים לשוק ולכיכר שופר קורא בהר הבית בעיר העתיקה ובמערות אשר בסלע אלפי שמשות זורחות נשוב נרד אל ים המלח בדרך יריחו ירושלים של זהב ושל נחושת ושל אור הלא לכל שירייך אני כינור ירושלים של זהב ושל